Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, the wildest mixed tag team in podcasting where the kayfabe drops and the chaos takes over. Let's ring the damn bell.
Headlocks tight, heels on the prowl, dropping elbows, hearing growl, feel the foul. No script here, just real, no bluff. Kayfabe crack, now the dirt gets rough. Headlocks, heels, havoc in the zone. Step in the ring, chaos is your home. No filters, no mask, just raw bare tone. Wrestling unscripted, we on the throne. Title belts, mic checks, crowd going crazy. Drop truth bombs, leaving lines feeling hazy. Beyond the kayfabe, past the charade, where legends are born and stories get made. Headlocks poppin', who's hitting the mat? Welcome to the Havoc where the real talk's at. Tune in, step through, leave the fake at the door. Headlocks, heels, Havoc, now hear the roar.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am one half the greatest tag team in podcasting, the legend J Mac. With me, as always, is everybody's favorite uncle and the guy that's always ready for a good hot tag, Uncle Slam.
What's up?
And guys, tonight we got a special show tonight. Hence that's why we got the special guest tonight. We've got Superfly Johnny Lee from the Nice Guy Andy podcast.
What's up? What's up?
We've also got Brock's Boulder from a little bit of everything.
I'm also partial to a hot tag. Ask Triton Troy. That's my thing.
Yes,
Call me Robert, baby. Call me Robert.
And of course, we got JD from Mayhem Media.
Yo, what's up?
Same old same, man. JD's had a heck of a day, guys. Getting this show together has been a trial. That's all I'm going to say. Because Brock's literally found out about what, 15, 20 minutes ago you was coming on?
Yeah, I'm still cleaning the sleep out of my eyes, buddy. I was asleep in my recliner, so yeah.
But that's why we love you, Brock, because you always come and help out when you can, man.
But I can't,
Definitely appreciate it, brother.
Yes, sir.
Anytime.
We got another guest coming a little bit later on. Like I said, Stan, he's going to come and join us and probably hit it up on the second half of the tournament. We are doing a WCW NWA Fantasy World Television World Television Championship to determine who we feel is the greatest World Television Champion of all time. So, guys, before we get real deep into this or anything, and by the way, before we get anything started, please, everybody who's watching, don't forget to go out, like, share, follow, and subscribe so that we can keep bringing you all the great content that we try to bring you.
Yes, they should.
And, and also go like, subscribe, follow all these other great podcasts that we're also on here with, great guys and everything. But before we get too started and everything too deep into it, I wanted to go around real quick and just get everybody's opinions on the World Television Championship and what it kind of meant to you all. So I guess we'll just start off and go around the clock. So we'll start off with Uncle Slam and let him start off.
I guess the easiest way to kind of describe it, it's kind of like the working man's title. It's, like you saw it probably more, probably defended like more than like any other title because it was like every week, they had to come out and like defend it. So it just, like I said, it was more like the working man. The world title, you might have to wait till a pay-per-view. You might have to wait till, something special to happen, but you could always count on, like a Art Anderson or, somebody like that coming out and having a good match for you. So
Superfly.
To me, that's how it was the workman's title. You had guys like Arn Anderson holding it. You had guys like Greg Valentine holding it. I didn't realize they were tied 4 times each until now. Thanks to you, J-Mac.
That's just the way it is. I found out a lot of stuff about this title too that I didn't know. But before we get to me, we'll let Brox let us know how he feels about the World Television title.
I feel like it separated the men from the boys in this business. Just as a worker's perspective, man, I feel like Uncle Unk said, it was a working man's title. So, and the word work in this business means everything. I mean, it really means everything. So You didn't get the, and I ain't shoot they're pooping on anybody, but it didn't, you didn't get the fluff matches once a month. You were every night, 7 days a week. You know, you was out there doing your thing, not televised and untelevised. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep. We got a fan playing our song in the background somewhere.
heck yeah.
Nice.
JD, what's your opinion on the world television title, sir?
I think it's a great title, and go on a different point that everybody's already made, and I agree with everybody. Working Man's title, the prestige behind it, absolutely. But I think once it gained that prestige, it also helped people's careers. People like Steven Regal, Diamond Dallas Page, they really got a huge boost after winning the television title. That was kind of the step up. That's how you knew. That's how you knew who was next going to be the U.S. champion. Because Diamond Dallas Page went from the TV title to the U.S. Championship. Steven Regal did hold the U.S. Championship. Like a lot of people went up the ladder and then also held the world title at one point too. So I think it really put. I think it made a lot of careers as well.
I can agree with that. You know, I remember whenever I first discovered like the NWA. Well, I won't say I first discovered them because I first started watching them, you know, in the 80s whenever I was real young. I would see it every now and then because my stepdad would watch it, but I wouldn't watch it because it wasn't WWE and the big glitz and glamour stuff. But I think the first time I ever really got introduced to the world television title was just a random Sunday night. I was, you know, flipping through channels, bored, you know, Sunday, getting ready to wind down, go to school, all that stuff, and trying to find a little something to watch on TV. And I found wrestling. I was like, oh, okay, there's some wrestling on. Let's see what this is. Got to watching it. I knew a few of the names and stuff and everything, but the main event was the World Television Championship, 10-minute time limit, you know, and that's the thing that I remember about this title the most was like all the false finish matches. They were so great. You would get that false finish, and then as the referee's coming down for that 3 count, oh man, the bell and the time ran out just a second before. So he didn't get, you know, to me, it was just a great title. It was the title you were going to see every week. And like you all said, you know, y'all touched on the point, it was the next guy's up title. You know, we're going to put this on you, see what you can do with this. If you can do it with this, then we'll see what you can do on the next level with the US, and so on and so forth. So personally, this is my favorite title out of any title ever. And I know that's crazy to say. And personally, I consider it a world championship, even though it really kind of ain't, but it is. So, all right, guys, I guess we will go ahead and get into the first matchup that we've got in this fantasy tournament. Actually, let me read off some of the names we got in this, because we've got the likes of Dusty Rhodes, Tully Blanchard, the Great Muta, Paul Orndorff, Scott Steiner, Rick Steiner, Steven Regal, because that was one of the criteria for this tournament, was we are basing this tournament completely off of their time as the champion, not what they became later. Not what they, you know, stunning Steve Austin is on this list, not Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
So that's how we're kind of analyzing this. But so there's a litany of great, you know, stars on this list. So to get to the first matchup, we've got Ric Flair versus Das Wunderkind, Alex Wright. We will start off with Uncle Slam and go around like we did before. So, Uncle Slam, take it away. Who you got winning this?
I don't think this is really too hard, and I'm not even counting like I said. I'm not even considering the world titles or anything like that. Ric Flair is Ric Flair. Plus, he's got 2 television titles to 1 when it comes to Alex Wright. So it's going to be Ric Flair.
All right, you Superfly.
Ric Flair for me too. You know, I like Alex Wright. He stands no chance against Rick.
Brox.
Woo! I listen. When you said that earlier, when you said, you know, this is based on who they were then, not who they became. You're always that person. You just decide on how you're going to turn that dial up, and all these guys eventually turn those dials up to become who they are. So, to me, it's a great point for this, but they were those guys anyways, even before they were. So, but
Right.
yeah, this one's easy. It's Flair. It's Flair.
JD.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Nature Boy. Absolutely, 100%. Alex Wright had a potential, but I don't think for whatever reason WCW didn't use him right or whatever, maybe personal or whatever. But yeah, definitely Flair over Alex Wright.
I am also going to go Flair. So Flair gets a clean sweep on this. And I agree with you on that point is I do think that Alex Wright had a lot of potential. I think he had tons of potential, but I just, with WCW, other than like people like Goldberg and, maybe Booker T and a handful of people, WCW wasn't really known for creating stars. They were known for, not WCW, NWA was, but when it converted over to WCW, they weren't known for making stars. So I don't think Alex Wright kind of had a snowball's chance in hell as far as getting over that goofy, I'm a, white meat baby face,
and
good
also
guy.
pulled off his new persona they did one day after you debuted it.
Oh, the Berlin thing.
Berlin.
Yeah, that was terrible too. That was
Yeah.
absolutely terrible. But they were trying, And,
No, I was interested in that until I found out that it was just Alex Wright rebranded, and then I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, I'm not going
And
to see
with
anything
Harry
new." Now I
Shade
don't
is
care.
just not talking English.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's like I've made him points on other shows. You can't go around beating, just like with Austin Theory. You can't make him look like a goof for so long and then try to take him away and rebrand him and come back and people take him seriously. You made him into a goof too much. There's no way to do it. But anyways, I digress. So Ric Flair takes the win there. I don't think anybody had any
Clean
doubts
sweep.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Pretty
think there was
easy.
a doubt in anybody's mind there. So the second matchup we got here is, let me set this up here. Couldn't remember who we got. Mike Rotunda versus Johnny B. Bad. Uncle Slam, who you got?
All right. This was a little harder than I thought because at first my initial reaction I was going to just go Mark Merrill, but then I started looking and each of them have three titles, and so then you got to look at who they beat. You got Mike Rotunda beat Dusty Rhodes, he beat Rick Steiner, and then he beat Rick Steiner again. Mark Merrill though beat Lord Steven Regal, Art Anderson, and Lex Luger to win his. So I'm going to go with Johnny B. Bad here.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Superfly.
This one is a tough one. I'm just taking this out of my head. Who was the better wrestler between the two? I'm going to have to go with Mike Rotunda.
Okay. So we got 1-1 right now. Brox.
I like Slam's approach on it, on who they beat. I don't necessarily think that separates them because both lists are amazing. The talent they beat to get those championships. But for me, I'm gonna go with Rotunda as well. I'm gonna go just because again, I'm gonna always go back to I'm gonna make this point probably about every one of these guys, but they weren't, this wasn't Mark Merrow yet, right? And this wasn't IRS yet. You know what I'm saying? That's not what this was yet. But they were there. That just wasn't their names, right? So for me, my money is I'm an IRS guy. I'm a Rotunda guy. The legacy he's created in wrestling just from what he started. I'm going to be that. I'm going to be with that family. So.
All right. So we got 2 Rotundas and 1 Johnny. JD.
I am going to even it out, and I'm going to pick Johnny B. Bad because I think I'm a huge Mike Rotunda fan. Huge fan of his, but I think Johnny B. Bad showcased the title a little bit better than Mike Rotunda did. Maybe it might have had something to do with the time Johnny B. Bad was on it. It was a lot more on television. It was more accessible. But I think he did more with the TV title than Mike Rotunda did. I think he did more. He had more great matches. He wrestled a lot. As we've said, it's a working man's title. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with with Johnny B. Bad.
Okay. Okay. Before I throw my pick out here, is anybody else going to raise their hand and let me know that I was like not today years old, but just a couple of years older or younger, that I found out that Johnny B. Bad was not a black man?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I found that out this year. Yeah.
I mean, Vince McMahon wanted that character, but he couldn't have it because it's WCW.
I had no idea that
I found
Mark
that out this
Marrow
year,
was
too.
not black.
I know. Crazy.
I was like, he's like Jewish or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, how does this dude who's Jewish look just like Little Richard and play him perfect?
Yeah, for real.
I mean, it was crazy. So a little mind-blowing fact right there for all you people who didn't know. But because it blew my mind because I was convinced.
I think
you know what? I kind of wish that you wouldn't have known, and you'd have been like, "Man, we just add him to the list of these black champions," and then on the show, I would have loved that. I'm telling you.
Watch the heads explode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
All right, so to reel it back in, I'm going. My pick on this one is I was really a big fan of Johnny B. Bad. Really liked him. Liked Mark Marrow. I think they kind of they pushed him or wanted too much out of him in the WWE. Don't think it ever was going to turn out to what they wanted. But as far as his WCW run with the Johnny B. Bad, I liked it. I didn't think it was ever going to be like a world title gimmick or anything. But when looking at this and everything, I'm going to go with what you said, Brox, and everything, that the person was always there, but he wasn't IRS yet. And I think that's a great thing because I hated the IRS gimmick. I absolutely hated it. And I liked the whole varsity club gimmick thing that he had going on. He was an amateur wrestler, Syracuse, blah, blah, blah. I liked that, so I think even if he didn't stick with that, now the whole captain of the Admiral captain thing, that was terrible. Yeah. But, I think Rotunda was just a better overall wrestler. So I'm going to have to give the nod to Rotunda on this one.
I don't think we would have went bad either way, but I mean,
no.
About these tournaments though,
there's always such good talent in every matchup that it's really hard to pick. As a matter of fact, before we get on to the next match, I want to bring everybody's attention to one of the first round matchups. And I know you haven't had a chance to look at them really, but it's right above your head right there, Brox. If you can see
I see it. I've seen it.
That's going to be a good one, man. The battle of the DDT, Jake versus Arn.
Yeah, let's just wait till we get there before we all start blowing up.
Yeah.
You already got me ready to go. I'm already ready to jump into it.
Full disclosure, I got on the other side of the bracket, I'm looking at 2 first-round matchups. And I know who's going to win both of those, who should win. I'm already looking at the second-round matchup and going, God dang it, boys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want to do that one, but we'll wait. I'll let you know when we get there. I promise you I will.
All righty. I wish I had a way to advance it on the screen too, so that everybody could see
that out sometime.
Yeah, I'm as everybody sees, I'm writing it down as we go. So
I'm on my computer. I'm on my computer, bro. Send me this image, the image behind you. Send me the image, and then send me the next brackets after you have them written. I'll make you one before we real quick before you get finished with the next round.
Okay, sounds good to me. So this matchup, we've got the Lionheart, Chris Jericho, versus one of the greatest champions as far as overall around the world ever, the Ultimo Dragon.
All right, let's see. On this one, I'm probably going to go with the Ultimo Dragon just by a little bit. I've never been a huge Jericho fan. I know a lot of people are. I've just never been one of them. I don't know. He just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, honestly. But Ultimo had 2 titles compared to Jericho's 1, and kind of like somebody said once before, I think he did more with it than Jericho. I think I think Jericho was just more like a stepping stone to go to the world title, and as with Ultimo, he wasn't going to get any higher. So I'm going to go with Ultimo Dragon on that one.
All right. One for Ultimo. Superfly, who you got?
As much as I love Chris Jericho, I'm going to have to go with Ultimo Dragon as well. If we're talking about pure wrestling ability, no one is better than what Ultimo Dragon could pull off in a match against someone like Chris Jericho.
All right. So we got 2 Ultimos. Brox, go ahead.
There are matches that guys have, they're great wrestlers, and then they get mixed up with guys that are great wrestlers. In those matches, that guy will carry the other guy. Not because they're not good, but because they raise their game, right? And I feel like that the reason Jericho succeeded is because of guys like Ultimo, right? So there was a bar that had to be raised. There was a point that you wanted to be, and I feel like Jericho he didn't get on that level as in this time,
Yeah,
as Ultimo did. So I'm gonna go with Ultimo.
Okay. Well, we know he's going on to the second round, but we'll let JD and me do our choices and picks just for the semantics of it.
I'm actually gonna. I think this might end up. I don't know what your pick is, but this might end up being a unanimous one again. I'm also gonna go with Ultimo Dragon. I am a big Chris Jericho fan. I think he's one of the best heels that we've ever seen. I think that goes to Uncle Slam. It always rubbed him the wrong way. I think that's what he does purposefully. I think that's his whole thing. I hated him in the 90s, when he was throwing temper tantrums. I hated him every time I heard his music playing, man. And even when he went to the WWE with the whole Wall of Jericho and the whole countdown, man, I was like, man, you are so. But looking back now that I'm older, he's had such an amazing career. So I'm a huge Chris Jericho fan. But, as we said before, as Uncle Slam was just saying, I think Ultimo Dragon definitely did more for the title. And I also think it did more for Ultimo Dragon than it did for Jericho. I think, eventually if Jericho, in the WCW, big, small guys are never going to get that nod to the world championship. So I think I do disagree with Uncle Slam there. I think that the TV title was likely the best that he was going to do. Did he get it? I don't know. I can't remember if Jericho had a U.S. title run or not. But even if he did, it wasn't a super long one or a very good one. So I think the TV title was likely the best he could do also. But I think Jericho used it better for his own growth and his own character growth. But I think Ultimo Dragon wore the belt better and added more prestige for it because of the matches that he had.
I can see that.
All great points. I really like that.
Yeah, they are. And to be honest with you, I have never been a huge fan of either one of these guys. Not that I didn't like Ultimo Dragon. It was just his matches were so few and far between. You know what I'm saying? At that point that, I didn't see much of him. Like I loved what I saw. When he was in the ring with the likes of Eddie Guerrero and, Psychosis and Supernova, all those great luchadors at the time and everything, when they were doing their thing, don't get me wrong, those are the matches I wanted to watch. It was the world heavyweight storylines I wanted to watch and the, cruiserweight matches I wanted to watch. So, I mean, it's not a disrespectful thing. I was just never a huge fan. I like him, but I was never a fan of Jericho. I've just always thought he was goofy. I never thought he was funny. I never thought he was a great promo or anything like that. Just my opinion. But for this one, I would go Jericho just for the fact of I think that at that time he was just more relevant in that company. Even though Dragon had so many more accolades, but they were outside of the U.S. a lot of it. So it was kind of like not seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my only edge that I give to Jericho because in the ring, Ultimo Dragon can go with anybody. I mean, just plain and simple. He's probably top 20 all time in the ring that I've seen with my eyes. Just what I've seen. All righty. So Ultimo Dragon moves on to the second round. This matchup is kind of interesting and everything because it's kind of conflicting styles, but I honestly and truthfully think that in their prime, or even in their younger days, these two could have pulled off a really good match together in a real world setting. But we got Ricky Steamboat, who's what can you say? It's Ricky Steamboat.
Mhm.
And Perry Saturn, Uncle Slam. Who you
got? I honestly was going to just call this almost like a squash match until you said what you said. So I don't want to, take away from what you got. But I mean, to me, it's pretty cut and dry. It's Ricky Steamboat, man. He's got 4 television titles. He went against people like Ric Flair, and I think what was it? Was it Arn Anderson too?
Well, him and Steve Austin had that big feud.
Yeah, Steve Austin.
The TV title for a while.
I don't really think this is really, like I said, I feel like it's a squash match. I think it's Steamboat. All day. So,
all right, Superfly.
You said all that, and I feel the same way. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, he's going over Perry Saturn.
All righty, Brox.
No contest. It's Ricky all day.
Well, that put him in the second round, but we'll do the semantics thing again. Go ahead, JD.
You should reverse the order every so often, so that way you and I always don't get stuck with the semantics. Because I'm also going to go with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I mean, Perry Saturn is a great wrestler, and I think he did a great job with the TV title. But I don't think he did enough. I don't think he did enough with it. I would have to go with Steamboat over Saturn.
I am also going to go with Steamboat for the clean sweep. I like Perry Saturn. I was always a real fan of him. When the Radicals came and everything, I was really hoping that he was going to be, mid-card status. At least. Yeah, I mean, he was great. And even when they started giving him that stupid skirt stuff and everything and had him talking to the moppy and everything,
oh, yeah.
I thought it was funny, because it wasn't great. The gimmick wasn't great, but he at least embraced it and started doing the most stupid, outlandish stuff. He'd walk up to... I will never forget watching Sunday Night Heat when that man walked up to somebody in the crowd and just looked at them and said, "Circles don't fit in triangles because rectangles are made out of cheese. You're welcome." And just turned around and walked off. I was like, what?
Moppy was supposed to be, the Moppy gimmick was supposed, and some of that stuff was supposed to be a punishment. I can't recall off the top of my head for what it was, but it was supposed to be a punishment, dude. He took that gimmick and put it over, man.
Yeah, he did. He got it over. And those things that he would just come out and say and everything had me entertained. So I really always liked Perry Saturn and everything. Never really got to see much of him in the original ECW. I've went back and watched a few things. Really good there. ECW just wasn't my style. But at the end of the day, Ricky's got this, So Ricky Steamboat it is. And now is what we've all been waiting for in the first round. And that is going to be the matchup that is going to have the battle of masters of the DDT. Arn Anderson, the Enforcer, versus the Snake, Jake Roberts.
Oh, man.
I say JD gets to go first on this one.
Yeah.
We'll reverse order this time.
Yeah, we'll switch orders. Go ahead.
Can I just clarify real quick? Who won the battle? Was it Rotunda or Johnny B. Bad?
It was Rotunda.
Rotunda, yeah.
I'm putting the next bracket together for you, J-Mac.
Okay.
So.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that.
This is a great matchup, especially for the first round. And I don't know what anybody else is going to pick yet, but for me, I have to go with AA Arn Anderson, the Enforcer. I think when I think of the TV title, he's one of the first people I think of when you say the television title. My mind goes right to Arn Anderson, honestly. And before this tournament, I didn't even know Jake Roberts was a TV champion.
I didn't for a long time. I found out a few months ago.
Yeah, so I have to go with Double A because as soon as I hear TV title, my mind goes to two people when I hear it: Arn Anderson and Steven Regal.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pick Arn Anderson.
All right, Double A. Brox.
One of my favorite things I do in ring is a spine buster, and I have modeled my spine buster after the best spine buster in the business. That's Double A Arn Anderson, and being a Bobby Blaze trainee, and getting to watch Bobby and Arn do some of the stuff I've got to see that's not even on the internet, by the way. Arn Anderson was one of the best to ever do it in every place he done it. He was the best. So Arn Anderson is my pick, hands down. It's, to me, no disrespect to Jake, but this is a squash to me, but it's just my personal love for Arn Anderson. It is no disrespect to Jake Roberts. It's just my personal love for Arn Anderson.
I would completely agree with that.
What is it about Arn Anderson? I was thinking about this, and I know it's crazy because I was taking a shower and I was thinking about this tournament and everything, and just thinking about some of the matches.
Whoa, I know. I'm like, hold on.
Calm down, guys. Calm down.
You gotta take a shower because of the tournament?
No, I was taking a shower, and the tournament came into my mind.
TMI.
But anyways,
let me tell you what it is about Arn for me. And because I get this, so many people can look at Arn Anderson and look, just for example, you can put an Arn Anderson next to Lex Luger or Arn Anderson next to Hulk Hogan. And what people's perception of what professional wrestlers should be, the eye is going to be taken to the guys that look like Lex and Hogan, right? I think the guys like Arn, the guys like Dusty, even Jake, in this instance, who didn't really look like the prototypical professional wrestler, because that's what they looked for. They looked for big, cut, bulky, just, Arn Anderson was our champion because Arn Anderson looked like he just come off the construction field and was carrying shingles up a ladder, or he was building walls in a house, or he was big, he was burly, and he looked like a man that if he was in a corner of a bar drinking a beer, you left him the hell alone. That's why Arn Anderson has it. Because you believed he was a legit tough guy. Yeah. And when you can believe they're a legit, they have it. Period. Hands down, it does not matter. Jake Roberts is the same way. He looks like a guy that was in a corner of a bar, which he probably was. And he didn't want to be messed with. He didn't want to be messed with. Don't mess with that guy in the corner, right? Yeah. But Arn made that look. Arn created that look to me.
Just that tough guy look.
Yeah.
That everyday tough guy look.
Yeah.
Bobby talks about these legit tough guys in the business, and he never talks about legit tough guys in the business that he crossed paths with without mentioning Double A every single time. And I got one quick little thing, and I'll shut the hell up. The other little thing is Bobby tells the story to every trainee that comes to our school. He got a booking one time in a back room of WCW because he locked up with Arn Anderson. That's all he had to do. He locked up with Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson said, "You're booked." That's how smart that guy was. He could feel that guy lock up with him and go, "All right, you're booked." So he just, to me, he just
knew the business.
Shut up now. He was all about it, and that's just for me. Yeah.
Before I get to you, Superfly, I was just going to say, Arn Anderson is the type of bad guy who doesn't, like, usually in a wrestling match, you see the heel kind of get over on the good guy for a little while. You know what I'm saying? But Arn is the type of heel that you can sit and whoop his ass the whole time. And he'll sit there, I love when you would do the whole thing where you'd punch him or something and he'd throw the fists or something and then he'd fall down and everything. It was great, just great ring psychology of knowing where he was, what he needed to do and stuff. And he was one of those guys you could beat up and maul and everything, and he could still win because he could snap at DDT at any time. But sorry, go ahead, Superfly. I always found that interesting about him because he wasn't like a little guy. like a Sean or a Brett that you could throw
Yeah.
around and beat them up through the match and make it believable. He was, like he said, a legit tough guy, but he wasn't worried about going out there and getting beat up all match, you know.
As
Go
much
ahead,
as I
Superfly.
love Jake the Snake's DDT, there's one guy that's always enforced the rules when he was part of the Four Horsemen. Arn Anderson, all day, every day. This a guy I don't want to walk up on and get into a fight with.
Yeah, I don't want to walk up on any of these fellas and get into a fight with them, to be honest.
They're all
For me, this was a hard match. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I love Arn, I love Jake. Arn overall is a better wrestler. Jake was a good ring psychologist. Not saying Jake couldn't wrestle, but Jake was more the guy that would go out there, throw a few punches, a clothesline, a few kicks, but he would get beat up through the match and tell the story that way. You know, his story was told through the comeback and through all that stuff and everything, you know, through he was going to take the bumps and stuff. Arn, he could do that, or he could go out there, he could work both sides of it. You know what I'm saying? He could work you over, or he could get worked over through the whole match. But the key factor is that DDT on each of them, and that thing can, just like the diamond cutter, RKO, whatever you want to call it, it can come out of nowhere. I'm very torn because I think Jake could win, but 9 times out of 10, Arn Anderson's going to walk away because I think if I'm booking the finish, they're both going to go for that DDT. They're both going to miss it, and the difference is going to be that spine buster. And Arn's going to hit it, and boom, 1, 2, 3. So Arn goes on to the next round. That was a hard one, man. I mean,
Man, you just forgot about me over here.
he-
Wow.
Oh no,
Wow, man.
no, he does go on to the next round because we've got the.
I know, but I didn't even get to comment on the.
No.
Yeah,
I
you
wasn't
forgot
forgetting you. I was getting ready to call on you. I was just saying. I was just saying. I hadn't forgotten. I was just saying he was unanimous. So, but no, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make sure you didn't forget about me. I'm pretty much going to agree with y'all on this, but it was a little bit harder on me. I wouldn't call this a squash match or whatever, because when I was, like I said, doing my research, let's see, we got Arn's got 4. Of course, he's had the title the longest, as far as a single reign and combination reign. But Jake does have 3, and I didn't even know that myself or whatever. Now, his was a little bit earlier. I think most of his was in the NWA.
Yeah, they were like 83-ish around there.
I couldn't find out who he actually beat for his. Orange, he had beat Woohoo McDaniels, the Great Muda, Tom Zink, and Johnny Big Bad. So I mean, not super great, but definitely some decent people, especially with Johnny Big Bad and the Great Muda or whatever. So I think it's going to be a sweep when it comes to AA here.
Yep. It's a good first round match just because of the matchup of the DDTs, that dream matchup of who would win that. But I mean, overall, when you just compare the two guys, Arn's got that. It's pretty self evident. All righty, the next match we have got the all time leader in title reigns in Booker T versus Ivan Koloff.
Are we going back to the same order, or are we going to reverse again?
We'll reverse it back this time and start with you this time.
Okay.
We'll do it serpentine.
This is a little closer than I thought it would be. I thought Booker would kind of run away with it, but he's got 6. Koloff's he's got 3. And then you look at who they beat. Koloff beat Paul Jones, who I think was one of the longest reigning.
One of the first. It was the first ever too.
Yeah. Jimmy Valiant and Ricky Steamboat. You got Booker T. He won 6, but he beat Disco Inferno, Rick Martel, Chris Benoit, and Rick Steiner. to get his titles. So, and Booker's, like, I think one of his was kind of short. It was kind of a short reign as
One
far.
day.
Yeah. But I'm still gonna go with King Booker on this one. Like, I think it did a lot for Booker as far as, especially in WCW, like being the television champ. I think he got a lot more out of it. Now, eventually, like I said, it led him to, U.S. title. It led him to a world champion stuff, and when shit was closing down. But I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna stick with Booker T on this one.
All right. Got one for the Booker man. All right. Well, no, I'm sorry. That's Kevin
Whoa.
Sullivan, ain't it?
Whoa,
That's Kevin Sullivan.
whoa, Brian Pillman, calm down there.
I know it.
Yeah. Not a black history month. Come on.
Let's see here. To be honest with you, I have very vague memories of Ivan Koloff. I remember him like a little bit when the Russian group was in the NWA with Nikita and Crusher. But I don't, if I ever saw a match of his that just blew me away or anything like that, it wasn't because I, wasn't a fan. I just didn't catch much of his career. Booker T, I love how Booker T just never gave up. After he had everything handed to him on a silver platter in WCW, and then it just got all pulled out from underneath him, because of the company being sold. And then with all these WCW guys coming over to the WWF at the time, WWE now, there was so much heat. People don't understand how much heat they almost, I've seen a few interviews where they said they almost had to have a separate locker room for the WCW people, but they was like, no, we're not going to do that because we've got to get all of them on the same page again. And Booker's just one of those ones that he was not going to let them push him down. He was going to make it, you know what I'm saying? And he, I don't know that he deserved to pay any penalty because he was associated with WCW, but everybody who was associated with WCW had to pay some kind of a penalty, because of the wars.
Yeah, you were the ops.
Right. So, I mean, and because you were working for the other company and in a sense trying to put WWE out of business, but whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, that's a whole nother show. I'm going to go with Booker T on this because I can dig it, sucker.
You've been waiting to say that, ain't you?
I have. I was thinking of that just before I looked at it. I butchered it way worse than he ever would have, but Superfly, who you got?
I'm going to have to go with Booker T because even though I like Ivan, Booker T's had more relevance with that title. He made that title what it is when he was holding it. So Booker T all day, every day.
All righty. Booker T takes it for Superfly. What you got, Brox?
I got a hot take.
Okay.
Booker T's 6 championships were watered down because of crappy booking at WCW. That's my take on it. That's my hot take on it.
Okay.
I think Booker T still wins this by sheer numbers, but I do think they were watered down a little bit because of.
I do too.
I see what you're saying. I see that point because of the state of WCW at the time.
Yeah, and I don't think WCW. They didn't take it as. I don't think they took the title as serious as NWA did.
No,
and that's going to go into consideration for me too about especially where they won the title. I mean, if they're only in the WCW winners of that title, then that's going to take something for me. But it's still Booker T in this instance just because of the sheer numbers. He doubled him up, and again, Booker T was Booker T then. The Booker T never really changed. You know what I'm saying? Like his popularity and who he the Hall of Famer he was pretty much who he was from basically day one. You know what I'm saying? Like Harlem Heat, and he was
like he was always a champion, pretty much, whether he was
right.
tagged, whether he was single. When he went to
Yeah,
the other team, you know what I'm saying? Like
right.
he always became a champion.
Well,
And
then
his character didn't change much.
and that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing too. A lot of these other guys, like you're looking, we don't know, Steven Regal, Lord Steven. A lot of these guys are not going to know who that guy is, and I can't wait to talk about that guy. But Booker T was Booker T from the jump, so
Right.
it's Booker T.
JD?
I'm going to stick with the rest of the group. I have to say Booker T for sure. I think the when him and one of the other things that I definitely comes to mind when I think of the WCW television title was the best of 7 series that Booker T and Chris Benoit had for the television title. That was something that you didn't see. The same wrestler wrestling 7 matches with, having to have a majority in order to even win like the belt. That was crazy. So, and I think they did a great job at stretching those out and actually making it look like it was a legitimate back and forth kind of a battle a little bit. So I'm going to definitely go with Booker T as well.
Alrighty. Looks like Booker T goes on to the second round. I think we all kind of figured that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there was much doubt. No disrespect to Ivan. He's a Hall of Famer and, great. As a matter of fact, shout out. I just became friends on Facebook with his granddaughter.
Hell yeah.
She is a professional wrestler. I've reached out to her to try to see if we could get her on the show and everything. So, keep your ears posted. We may have Ivan Koloff's granddaughter on here. All righty. Next matchup, and we will start with JD this time. Let's go Scott Hall and Barry Windham. Man, this one's hard.
Hey, yo. I would love to be able to pick Scott Hall, especially since all my teammates at Mayhem Media have kind of branded me the bad guy. So I decided to adopt. Yeah, no problem, man. I decided to adopt the bad guy of podcasting moniker, which I'll be continuing to showcase in my episode. So I'd love to be able to choose a Scott Hall. Unfortunately, I don't think that I can because I think that he didn't really do anything with the title. I think that was one of his chances that WCW was giving him, but he was too busy battling his other demons to make it work. So I have to go with Barry Windham just because I don't think Scott Hall even did anything at all with the TV title. So that's why I would pick Barry Windham.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with JD. I think the thing that sucks about personal demons in this business is they sometimes show all over what you're doing in the ring and what you're not doing in the ring. But yeah, to me it's Barry. He's also probably for me one of the most underrated guys. He doesn't get the credit he deserves in his career as a whole. So, and I'm an old school guy. I'm an old soul. I'm an old guy. So I like the old school guy. I mean, Scott is an old school guy too, but Barry is that. I like Barry. It's Barry for me here.
Johnny, I think you're next.
Barry Windham as well.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. I had somebody knocking at my door.
It's all right, Jay, man.
I think you have 4 other professionals here that were able to just not do anything except be courteous and pass the conversation off to one another.
Hey, that is awesome that, we can
did
all be adults.
Did you go somewhere, J Mac? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm playing with you. I'm playing on that.
Hey, that's cool. If I can slip out and slip back in without being noticed, then that's exactly what I meant to do.
we were to Uncle Slam and you.
Okay. Who's everybody got
honestly,
so far? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
3-0 Barry.
3-0 Barry.
Honestly, before I even started doing research, I didn't know Scott Hall had even won the belt. So that's just how much a non-factor it is. And I'm pretty sure he threw it in the garbage, right?
Yep.
So, no,
technically it was Kevin Nash that threw it in the garbage.
Well, you know what I mean. And shit,
right.
but,
Scott Hall held the hoop for him.
But they didn't.
So it's like his reign was so, forgettable that it's, I mean, by default, which I love Barry Windham too. Like I said, I definitely agree with Brox. He was one of the underrated people, but I think it was also because he was kind of one of them humble people. As long as he had a drink and a woman in his bed type deal, like he was happy type shit. So, but yeah, I'm go with Barry Windham on this one.
I myself, I like this matchup. I really do because they're both about the same size. They're both, Scott Hall, as I think me and Brox have discussed before, very underrated worker in the ring. Scott Hall is one of the best. I'm saying he could tell a story. And, he wasn't necessarily going to be drop kicking and this, that, and the other, but he knew the psychology of a wrestling match. And he was one of the best at it. Barry Windham, on the other hand, I mean, to quote Ric Flair, Barry Windham was a 6'6" Ricky Steamboat. So, I mean, that in and of itself, from the accolades that we just said about Ricky Steamboat earlier, tells you the kind of wrestler, for those people who are watching that don't know who Barry Windham was, I encourage you to go back and watch this man. He was great. I got to give it to Barry. Barry's just, I think he's just got that edge. And like Uncle Slam made the mention, the title reign kind of, does kind of flounder what it was, because was it really a title reign? He won it and threw it away. So I'm going to go with Barry. All righty. Who did we start with last time? We started with JD, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All righty. To end the first round on the left side of the brackets, we have got the man they call Sting versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Who you got?
Which order are we going in here?
I think it's you.
Yeah. No, it's JD this time because we're
Oh,
going
me.
back around. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sting is my favorite wrestler, like of all time. Okay, there is no even. It's not even a contest. But I would like to. I did want to vote for Hacksaw Jim Duggan because Sting being voted, the best TV champion. That's not what I don't think of the TV title when I think of the Stinger. So, but I don't know that I can vote against him either. But Hacksaw Jim Duggan being the final TV champion of WCW, I do think has merit. So I would like to just point that out there. But my vote has to be with Sting. It has to be. I don't have a choice.
Right.
I don't have a hate for Sting. There is a guy that I feel the exact same way about as you do, Sting, JD. And he's on this list, unfortunately. But I don't have that what I feel like is an undying allegiance to Sting. His career didn't really mean anything as far as it didn't affect his career.
No, I fully agree with you. Yeah, 100%.
I'm going to go with Hacksaw in this one just to make it interesting because I feel like the argument of he didn't do anything for the title and the title did nothing for him for Sting is the only argument you need, honestly. For Hacksaw to wear the crown of being the final television title champion puts him over the edge for me. And it's just that's where it's at for me. So I'm gonna go with Hacksaw.
Superfly.
I'm going with Sting because Hacksaw found the title inside a trash can and crowned himself as TV champion. So I cannot put him over Sting.
Superfly, you win these championships in this business how you can, brother. I'm just telling you.
I didn't see Andre handing well, actually he did. He handed it over to $1 Million Man, but Okay, so we got 2 Stings and 1 Jim Duggan. I am, as much as I don't want to, I'm going to make things a little interesting because I wasn't thinking about it the way you all explained that with, Sting was going to be Sting with the TV title or not.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Sting was destined to end up wrestling Ric Flair and, that was going to be the 90s for, WCW. So it doesn't really affect him. No, it doesn't. Duggan, although I don't like the way he found the championship, as Superfly pointed out, because is he really a champion? He just found it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess if I find a belt and I walk around with it till somebody takes it from me, I'm that champion. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to give the edge to Duggan this time just because he is the final champion ever.
Okay, so what is it? 2-2 on this one.
2-2. Come on, Slam. You're a thing.
Yeah, here we go.
All right. This honestly really wasn't that hard for me. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna go with Sting on this one.
I was going to say I should just go ahead and start writing Sting, shouldn't I?
Well, one thing, Sting to me was my favorite wrestler in WCW. Like, he was the equivalent of the Undertaker in WWF. He was that guarantee guy. He was the go-to. He was the constant. And the whole Hacksaw Jim Duggan, like, he didn't beat anybody for the belt. He just picked it up. Like, that, like, it's got to mean something. Like, you got to beat somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, how you got the belt, like, to me, kind of means a little bit something, too. So I can't just give it to him just because he picked it up and said, I'm the champ. You know what I'm saying? That just seems like the easy way, or just too damn easy, be honest and shit. So I got to go with Sting on this one.
I wish I could find about 5 years' salary just laying around like that.
That shit will never happen. I can tell you that right now.
No, it won't. All right, so Sting moves on to the second round, and we move on over to the right side of the brackets. We have in the very first match, I don't think we're going to have to discuss this one too god awful much. I'm just going to say, we'll start with you, Uncle Slam, but we got Dusty Rhodes versus Disco Inferno.
Okay. Well, I think the easy answer would probably be Dusty Rhodes. But when you look at the numbers, let's see, they both got 3 titles. Disco, he beat Alex Wright, Perry Saturn, and Codan to get his. Dusty, I don't know if I even have Dusty, who Dusty beat though. I
believe one of them was Tully, wasn't it?
No, Dusty Rhodes. Okay, Tully Blanchard. And I'm trying to think. I can't find the like the other 2 or whatever. I never liked Disco. Like I said, he was comic relief pretty much in wrestling. Plus, Dusty Rhodes had the title like a lot longer. I think he is like individual length was like 79. Combined, he had it for over 200 days. Even though Disco had it, same amount of time, he didn't really keep it that long. So I think Dusty's got this one for me.
All righty. Me personally, like I said, I don't really have to. The one thing that is going to just. Who did you say Disco won it from again?
Disco beat. Hold on, let me see. Give me a second. Damn. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Oh, it ain't that important. Okay. The reasoning I was saying that is because the Dusty Rhodes Tully Blanchard match is enough to sell me that Dusty Rhodes wins this. I don't need to go any further than that. That was just a great rivalry. So for me, it's Dusty.
Okay, yeah. He beat Alex Wright, Perry Saturn, and Conan.
2 guys.
That kind of says it right there.
2 guys who were already eliminated in the first round of this tournament. So yeah, I'm going with Dusty.
Yeah.
Superfly, who you got?
I'm going with Dusty Rhodes. He's going to hit that bionic elbow, and he's going to put Disco Inferno in the bed.
He's going to tell you about hard times, baby.
That's right.
That's right. Brox, who you got?
Since this is a sweep, and we all know it's going to be a sweep, I'm going to make this point. It's Dusty because he got polka dotted singlet over as a punishment.
Right.
I'll always go back to this point. The man got a polka dotted singlet over because he was being
Yep.
punished by Vince McMahon. So
He even
he's
got
always
that
going to
fire
win.
over.
He's always going to win. And Dusty Rhodes is I need to shut up about Dusty Rhodes because I'll be here all night. Dusty Rhodes all day.
Is that gonna be your new Grappling Inc. type?
Listen,
There you go.
man, Superfly, listen.
Bring it out.
I have about 6 different things designed on my phone for gear that's going to be coming down the road, and one of them pays tribute to Dusty. So it's funny.
Nah.
A lot of what we and Troy do is a tribute to guys that's got us where we are and helped us get us where we at. So that's that's coming.
Respect.
That's gonna be it's gonna be interesting to see. Y'all look out for the polka dots. The polka dots are on the rise.
That's scary.
Can we see a
It is.
sapphire pop up with y'all? Remember, he got her over as well.
Oh man! All right, JD, who you got in this one?
Well, let me just tell you something now about some hard times.
You
The
gotta
American
love it.
Dream, he knows about hard times, baby. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely go with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
And
That's
I mean, not
even-
only that.
I'm
Oh,
a
go
huge-
ahead. Sorry.
I'm a huge Disco fan just for some of his comedic relief in during the shows, WCW shows in the '90s, and it was good to see him get a title. I wish it could have been a little bit more of a legitimate, title runs, not just always a gag title run. But so yeah, I gotta go. You can't vote against Dusty, so and definitely not for Disco.
Right. My whole thing is if you think Disco's going to outdance Dusty, then you got another thing coming.
Oh, I never thought about that. Huh?
Disco only had that one dance, and that was all he knew.
That's all he needed. He got it over. All righty. This next matchup is going to feature 2 of my favorite wrestlers of all time. One is probably in my personal top 10. I rave about him on here all the time. But we got the dog face gremlin Rick Steiner versus the beautiful one, the Midnight Man himself, beautiful Bobby Eaton. Who
Which
you got,
order
JD?
we going? Okay,
JD.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's me.
You're fine.
That's
You're
right.
fine.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a hard one for sure. Because I'm not a huge Bobby Eaton fan. Definitely not as a singles guy either. So I'm gonna have to go with Rick Steiner. I think I'm gonna have to go with the dog face gremlin. I don't really have too much to back up my pick on that one. Just kind of I don't think Bobby Eaton is a better TV champion than Rick Steiner. I think Rick Steiner was a better TV champion. So that's about the long and the short of it.
Excuse me. Brox?
So 2 tag team guys, essentially, in a singles title. I'm the opposite of JD. I'm going to go with beautiful Bobby Eaton because I'm more of a fan of beautiful Bobby Eaton. And that's my backup for it. That's just who I'm. Rick Steiner never really had a great singles career outside of Scott. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's sad. I think it was poor booking more than anything, really. But
Absolutely.
I'm a beautiful Bobby Eaton fan for me.
Brox, can I counter
Sure.
to you for just a second on something?
Yeah,
and I
please do.
agree with you.
Yeah.
I think Rick Steiner was definitely not a great singles guy without his brother, except for the one time when he went heel, when he was a heel. And I believe that's when his TV title reign was during that heel. That's why that was the other reason I did choose that, because I think Rick Steiner, just like his brother Scott, I think he made a way better heel than he did a babyface.
I have no arguments against that, but that's the thing is I feel like they booked him poorly until that moment. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like out of the gate, out of the tag team, he's an asshole heel, and he's probably one of the best. We're talking about him as a Mount Rushmore heel guy potentially.
You want some? Come get some.
Right,
You don't like me? Bite me.
Right. So, but being an old school guy, and I mean old school, and hearing all the stories outside of the ring and inside of the ring, the stuff that wasn't televised from from my Bobby about Bobby. I'm gonna go with Bobby.
All righty. Superfly.
I've been going over it inside my head, and I've been weighing both guys' wrestling abilities, both guys character wise, and who brings the most to the table. I'm going to have to give it to a beautiful Bobby Eaton simply because he was the guy that Ric Flair would have gladly had a world title match with.
Bobby was definitely probably one of the greatest workers that the business has ever seen. I mean, yeah, he wasn't a body guy, but there were guys who had great bodies who couldn't, they couldn't lace his boots. Bobby Eaton go out there and smoke them in 5 seconds in a ring, and that's just crazy. But when I was looking at this, and something just dawned on me. I've had to rethink my thinking in this, because you brought up something, JD, about Rick Steiner that I didn't think about. I forgot about his world TV title reign at the end of his run in WCW. He had a world TV title reign when he was with the Varsity Club. So Rick has the uniqueness of having it twice, once in the NWA and once in WCW. So we can kind of throw all his accolades in. You know what I'm saying? How we kind of said to separate everything, from who they were now as opposed. He's got that unique that he held it at the beginning and the end of that run. So you can kind of throw it all in. And another thing about Rick Steiner that people don't stop and think about because of all the power moves and stuff like that, Rick Steiner was a hell of a trained amateur wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
So Rick Steiner could out wrestle you on the mat too. It wasn't just I can pick you up and throw you 3 rows, and that's another thing too. People don't know about Rick Steiner. He was deceivingly one of the strongest guys in the locker room. He was, look at some of the people he picked up and done things to that, you didn't need much proof other than that. But I'm going to go with Rick Steiner in this. As much as I hate to go against beautiful Bobby, I love Bobby, but I just think Rick has the overall package, power, technical, the accolades and all that.
Another tie, Uncle Slam.
All right.
The burden is on you, sir.
I know. Like, 2 of probably my top 10 tag teams. The Steiner brothers are probably going to be my top 5 just because I've always loved them. Like I said, they are like what a tag team should be and shit. I don't know if it's because they're brothers or like just because they were that damn good or what. I love Bobby too. Like I said, like I said, you can put him with anybody and he's still going to put on a hell of a match. That's a given. So it's kind of odd to see him, solo. I'm gonna go Rick Steiner on this one, just because I guess I'm more of a Steiner fan. Plus, he had 2 titles compared to the one that Bobby had. Both of them are hell of a wrestler. You can't go wrong. Like I said, with either one. But being a Steiner fan, like I said, I'm gonna have to go with the Steiner brothers on this one, or Rick Steiner.
Looks like Rick. And to throw on to your point, as much as I love Bobby, his title reign was a transition reign. They were transitioning it from Arn over to Steve Austin. And that was kind of where he got stuck in that. And it was kind of, we appreciate everything you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a run, that's what I feel like it was. All right. Next matchup, we have got the Canadian Crippler, Chris Benoit versus Tully Blanchard. Uncle Slam, we will start with you, sir.
Now, this is a good one right here. This is Tully Blanchard, Chris Benoit. hell of a match. I think both of them still have 3 titles each. God, I honestly I would love to see them wrestle against each other because I think in their prime, I think it would have been a hell of a match. I'm going to go with Tully though on this one, just because I think when he had it, it meant more. I think he had better matches, um, better rivalries for it. So Tully's good, and plus he had it for a while too. I think at one time he had it for like 353 days, something like that, almost a full year. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Tully on this one.
All right, we got one for Tully. I I'm torn on this one. It's really hard because they're both great wrestlers. You know, there's just no doubt about that. They both could go in the ring. Um, but to Uncle Slam's point, I agree that it's the timing of like I said, I've repeated it several times on the Intercontinental title tournament. It, it's about time, place, and relevancy. And at the time that Tully was the world television champion, the place he was, and the relevancy, I mean, he was in the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen, that whole thing was taken off in NWA. So the timing, the relevancy, all that stuff, I just think means more because by the time Benoit got a hold of the title, again, WCW had watered it down to the point to where that title was probably as worthless as the 24/7 title by the time it got done. And which is sad because it's such a historic title. So I'm going to give the edge to Tully on this one. Superfly, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to have to go with Tully Blanchard as well.
Looks like Tully goes on to the second round, but we will go ahead and get the semantics over with. Go ahead, Brock.
He's talking about us, JD.
Yeah,
that's all right. Yeah, we're cool with it. Tully. And I Benoit won it how many times?
3-2.
Okay, yeah.
But when Benoit won it, it was mostly against Booker T. When Tully won it, he beat Mark Youngblood and Dusty Rose.
Right. So again, to beat my dead horse points here, poor booking in WCW is going to cost some of these guys the wins against these other guys. That's just how I feel. I'm also going to tell you that I was never a huge WCW fan because of the poor booking. So
I get you, brother.
But yeah, it's Tully anyway. Tully, pound for pound.
All right, JD.
I also do want to choose Chris Benoit. I was a huge Chris Benoit fan through the late 80s and the 90s, especially when he was a Horseman. I thought when he became a Horseman, that really changed the trajectory of his career. I wish he would have been awarded. Of course, at that time, the Horsemen weren't recognized in WCW. People were trying to move on from the Horsemen and stuff. So he didn't get the titles and the gold that usually comes with being a Horseman. But so I really do want to choose Chris Benoit because I'm a huge Chris Benoit fan, but I don't think I can pick him over Tully Blanchard for a better television champion. I think Tully Blanchard, as we've talked about before, he did more for the title. He did more with the title. So we're just going to have to make it a sweep, and I'm going to also go Tully Blanchard.
Is it me? Let me ask you all this about Tully. Do you all look at Tully? I always did. As kind of like, and I don't mean it in a derogatory way or anything like that, or, taking any shots at him, but I always kind of looked at him as like a poor man's Ric Flair.
I've never even thought about it like that.
Maybe not the character, but just the lifestyle, the character, but not the exact character. Tully wasn't wooing and stuff like that and dancing around and ripping his clothes off, but Tully was all about the limousines, yes, the whole Horseman group was about that stuff, but Arn Anderson was wearing a polo and some jeans. What I'm saying? Tully and Rick were in the suits. Right.
Yeah, but he was the enforcer. Double A was the enforcer. So I think him looking different than the rest of the horsemen was always part of him being the enforcer. So I do see what you're saying though, but I think that was part of what it was supposed to be with the horsemen, that they were the other three were supposed to be the flashy suit wearing, and then Arn Anderson was the guy in the jeans, the cowboy boots, and the leather jacket who was there to clean up the mess.
I can see that. I just always thought of Tully as like a poor man's Ric Flair. I don't know. And not in a bad way. Just, he was that, mid card Ric Flair that, you could get by him, then you could go wrestle Ric Flair.
That is a good analogy, though. I didn't
Oh.
think about it.
I never really had for the longest time. We got to doing this tournament and think about things you never would.
Yep.
All righty. This next one has me interested because it's got one of my favorite wrestlers of all time in it. And it's a guy that I don't actually ever, bring up enough. And I guess it's just because of the exposure over here. But we got the Great Muta versus Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
That's a good matchup.
We will start with JD.
This is a tough one. This is another tough one. You had a couple of tough ones. Like, who do you pick? They're both kind of equally matched. So you did a great job making the brackets on this. So I'm gonna. Oh man, I'm gonna probably. I would go with the Great Muta. I'm gonna go with the Great Muta, just because I think that was a good chance for someone from Japan to get to have some gold and to try and do something with it, to try and get over with the crowd. And I think Paul Orndorff did better with other championships and other aspects of his career, not necessarily the TV title. So I'm going to go with the Great Muta.
Brox?
Could not have said it better myself, sir. It's Muta for me. You think about these guys that had careers here, over there, and just across different places, and Muta is that guy. Like, Muta was actually in my area at a store. There's a place here locally called Time Warp that brings in legends and stuff and does signings, and Muta was here right before Thanksgiving a few months ago. And the response for him here and I live in Ohio, but that store's in Eastern Kentucky, which is just across the river from where I live. Like, we live in a tri-state area. The response here in Eastern Kentucky, for a guy like Muta was crazy, even after all this time. So in this tournament, I agree. I can't say better than what JD said. Orndorff done all the things for other titles and other things he done in his career. Muta, this was Muta's thing. So I'm gonna go with Muta.
Superfly?
Couldn't have said it better myself. Great Muta.
Me personally, Muta is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But in saying that, Paul Orndorff was always one of my favorite wrestlers. And I don't know what it was about Paul Orndorff, but especially when he spiked Hogan, as big of a Hogan fan as I was, I liked that. And I kind of wanted to see him beat him. You know what I mean? I think Orndorff, out of all the people that I can really, other than Andre, I think Orndorff, out of all the people that I can think of, would have been one of the best rivalries that Hogan could have had. I honestly and truthfully do, because I think they both matched up body-wise. You know what I'm saying? Their styles were similar. They weren't big. They did power moves, but they didn't do crazy power moves or anything like that. They had a little ground wrestling, had a little, Hogan had a big boot and a leg drop, but
Hogan had some ground wrestling.
I was trying to, hey, he fought Moose and looked good.
When he hit the ground with his leg drop, that was his ground and pound there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
But that just goes to show you. That just goes to show you. Muta wrestled both of them. And he made them both look good. So I'm going to have to go with the Great Muta. And I think I'm speaking for Muta when I say F you Rock for stealing his move. Because the flashing elbow is nothing but the people's elbow slowed down. So Rock kick rocks. Muda did
We
it
also
first and did
know
it better.
DDP's people's champion.
That's right. That's all right. See, Rock ain't nothing but a carbon copy of Muda and DDP.
I love that. That's the best thing that's happened in this episode.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go with the great mood on this one. Uncle Slam, who you got?
Oh man, like this is gonna be a sweep. I ain't really got a whole bunch to say about this, honestly. Like I said, I was always more of a Great Muta fan than I was a Paul Orndorff fan. So I mean, I ain't got really any stats or anything to back up this argument. Just personally, I just like the Great Muta better.
Works for me. Well, looks like Muda got through on a sweep. I'm really interested in that second round matchup now. Okay.
Oh, I'm excited to get. We got more in the first round yet, but we got some second round matchups shaping up too. Yeah,
we got 4 more matchups. Well, let me ask you this, guys. We got 4 more matchups. About 10 minutes till we're at the 1:30 mark. Do y'all want to finish these matchups? Take a little break, and then we'll come back and everything. All right. Well, we'll get these matchups done, guys, and then we're going to take about a 10-15-minute break, and we'll be back live with you all. So the next matchup we've got is Scott Steiner versus Lord Steven Regal. And we will start with Uncle Slam on this one.
Now this is a hard one for me because I love Scott Steiner. I told you before I'm a Steiner fan. I think he did better as a singles. I think he's had more success than his brother did as a singles wrestler, obviously. But when you think of television champ, I mean, Lord Regal to me is almost up there with Arn, honestly. On this one, man, like I said, I think what Scott had 2, Regal had what maybe 3, was it 3 or 4? I think he had 4, didn't he?
I don't know. I'm sure if it's 3 or 4, but his
I want to say it's 3.
He had huge and long reigns with
Yeah.
at least 2 of his reigns were
So on this one, as much as I love Scott Steiner, I mean Regal's got this hands down. I mean he is too dominant for me on this matchup. Somebody else it might be a different story, but on this one he takes it hands down.
I am a little biased in this because by the time Scott Steiner won these titles, he was the Scott Steiner that I do not like. I cannot stand the Big Papa Pump character. He is not a freakzilla that I want to, be around or anything like that.
But you like the Steiner math, though.
I mean, the Steiner math gets a little interesting sometimes. I think, we would probably have to wake Stephen Hawking's up to figure that stuff out. But
hey, the math don't lie, and you're just Scott Stock.
That's right. But, Scott, I liked Scott as a tag team guy. And if he just stayed around, kind of like that kind of Scott Steiner, I understand injuries and stuff kept him from being able to do certain moves later on in his career and stuff. And, that it limits you and stuff. And I'm not hating on him for it, but I never was a big fan of Scott Steiner as Big Papa Pump. So I can't give him the nod. I don't think it was very interesting. I don't think it was great. He was horrible on the mic. He just kind of rambled and stuff and everything. And as far as his wrestling skill at this time, I don't think it was as good as it was, again, limited by his injuries. So I'm going to have to give the nod to Lord Regal because he was, again, when you think of TV titles, when I think of the NWA TV title, I think of Arn. When I think of WCW TV title, Regal's one of the first people that pops in my mind. So for that reason alone, Regal for me. Superfly?
As much as I like Scott Steiner, by the time he had the title, he was nowhere near the Scott Steiner that we remember from before that time when he could do Olympic wrestling. So Lord Steven Regal has no trouble at all packing him up with how athletic and talented that he is in the ring.
I agree.
Lord Steven Regal. Any version of Steven Regal no matter where he's at, no matter what company he's working for, no matter if he's training, wrestling, advising, producing, it does not matter what that guy's doing. He's going to win any competition that I have a say in. He is a genius. He is he is a talent in this business that should be protected at all cost. I feel that highly about Steven Regal. And to agree with J Mac, there are people you put your mind with when it comes to certain titles. Steven Regal is the television champion. Period. Flipping back and forth between Raw and Nitro, and even earlier than that, just going back and forth. Regal carried that title, and I feel like he carried it every time I had it on the TV. So, yeah, Regal, and it's not close, not even a little bit, not even.
No. JD.
I said it at the beginning of this tournament. There's three names that I think of when I think of the TV title. It is Double A Arn Anderson. It is the Ultimo Dragon, and it is Lord Steven Regal. He is by hands down the TV title. So I will definitely go with Steven Regal.
Sounds good to me. I think he went through with a clean sweep, didn't he? No. Yeah. You gave it to Regal too, didn't you, Uncle Slam?
Yeah. I was first to go.
Yep, he got sweeped.
All righty. This next one is kind of an interesting matchup, kind of clashing personalities a little bit. We've got the Hot Rod, Rowdy Roddy Piper versus the handsome one, handsome Jimmy Valiant.
Also known as Boogie Woogie Woogie Man.
The Boogie Woogie Man, yes, sir. We will start out with JD on this one. Go ahead, sir.
I'm going to go with Piper. I'm not a super Jimmy Valiant wrestling fan, so I think Jimmy Valiant was a good good manager and a good ringside guy after, later on in his career, but I wasn't a fan of him in the ring so much, so I'm going to go with Piper.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. But before I agree completely, I want to give a shout out to my boy Yellow Man, who was trained by Jimmy Valiant, who is his right hand at his school currently. Today's his birthday, so happy birthday, Yellow. Yellow is also the singer, writer, and everything else to mine and Troy's entrance music that he had that we do.
Heck yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yellow Man that's my dog, trained by Jimmy Valiant. Like I said, he's his right hand at the camp there in Virginia. So yes, Piper. It's Piper. Piper's one that, to me, and JD said this earlier, we was talking about demons in this business that people had.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Where's this conversation going?
earlier he mentioned something about Scott Hall and his demons and how it kind of affected him in his business. I think Piper is one of those guys too. Not like Scott Hall's, obviously, it wasn't as public, but Piper was one that, had he kind of tried to stay on a better path, would be so much more on higher on list for people. But the fact that he's as high as he is with some of the things he went through puts him in a really kind of a crazy class by himself. So yeah, again with JD, I've never met you before tonight, JD, but you and I share a lot of the same perspectives, and I appreciate the hell out of that. I was never a huge fan in ring of Jimmy Valiant. His later career, I was a big fan of, but in ring, it's Piper.
Superfly?
Just when you think you've got all the answers, I go and I change the questions. Roddy Piper all day, every day.
And twice on Sunday.
Damn Skippy.
There are very few people. I do not consider Rowdy Roddy Piper a top 50 great wrestler. I consider Rowdy in ring. I consider Rowdy Roddy Piper one of the top probably 20 wrestlers of all time, just off of name value alone, because he was, again, one of those guys, just like The Undertaker and several others. He didn't need a title to be relevant. I'm Rowdy Roddy Piper, and the fact that I just walked into the room, that's relevant enough. Now let's talk, and that was his attitude, Jimmy Valiant, I never really seen much of him. Don't know much about him, I'm not going to lie. I've seen a few, clips from nowadays. I know he's up there in age, so he's not the Jimmy Valiant he was at the time that he was a world television champion. Um, I assume that he had some rather big success. Again, I know the name. You know what I'm saying? And that's about it. I know the black and white striped pants and I know a few things about Jimmy, but so I assume he had a pretty good career and stuff of that nature. But I mean, I never seen Jimmy Valiant at WrestleMania. And I saw Roddy Piper in the very first one in the main event. And I seen him in all kinds of stuff then. And plus, I mean, Jimmy Valiant wasn't in They Live either. So
That's true.
Roddy Piper all day long because he's all out of bubble gum.
And he came to kick ass.
That's exactly it. Who you got, Uncle Slam?
I'm gonna kind of echo some of y'all's like sentiment on this because like I didn't know anything about Jimmy Valiant at all. Of course, I know Piper. I grew up in his era. And if we were talking, on the mic, then Piper would take this. But I think Jimmy's got like at least 3 TV titles now. They were probably all mostly during like the NWA era or whatever. But if we going by numbers and not just mic skills, I kind of have to give it to Jimmy on this one. I mean, I know it kind of bucks the trend and shit, but
Respect. You got to go with what you got to go
but
with.
like I said, I really don't know much about him. Like I said, but like I'm kind of like you when it comes to Piper. It's like he didn't need a belt, so I don't really think of him holding too many belts. Like when I think of Piper, I think
Honestly
about
and
him.
truthfully, I didn't know he held this title. I knew
Yeah,
he held the U.S. title, but I had no clue he held this title. So
that's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying. Like I don't really think of Piper with titles too much. Like I just envision him with a mic in his hand and just cutting loose and shit, saying whatever the hell he wants to say.
all
Like
I
Piper
knew,
Smith or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
right?
Honestly.
All I knew is when I heard that drum roll at the beginning of his entrance music. When I heard that, I knew shit was getting real because
Yeah.
Roddy Piper's walking out here. So I don't know if he's going to be here next week, but he's about to let loose right now, and that's all that matters. All righty, on to the next match. We have got Roddy Piper won that one, even
Yeah,
though
I
we had
figured he
one for Jimmy Valiant. DDP versus the total package Lex Luger. We will start with you, Uncle Slam.
Honestly, I like DDP more, but I'm gonna have to give Lex on this one or whatever. I I think I don't want to say he was a better champ. I just I don't really remember DDP much with a television title. Like I remember with the world title, but I don't really like remember him with the TV title at all. So I guess just because I don't remember him much, and Lex has 2 compared to DDP's 1, I'm gonna give him the edge here.
All righty, so we got one for Lex. I personally, I like DDP. I wasn't a overblown fan, Um, Lex, he had his moments with me, and then there were moments when I could have just done without Lex Luger too. You know what I'm saying? He was never, I got to have Lex Luger,
Mm.
and even when he was in the main event world title picture, I was like, okay, well, it'd be cool if he beats Flair and gets over on the Horseman, but if he don't, well, can we get Sting up there? Yeah, it was kind of like that situation for me. DDP, I liked him. He was a good guy. I see why everybody jumped on to him and stuff, and how the whole People's Champion and stuff and everything. When he started all that, how it you know made everybody gravitate to him because he was, a lower mid to lower card guy that was basically almost out the door, that ended up coming around. And I think his was a little bit more relevant because again, Lex's reign was after, the NWO stuff was kind of watering away. DDP stuff was
No,
before all that.
Luger held the TV title when shortly after he first got to WCW.
Oh,
when
that's right, he
tag
did. So he's
champion.
kind of got the Rick Steiner thing going for him too. Okay, I forgot all about that, Rain. I'm glad you said that. I don't know. For me, this one's kind of hard. To me, I could flip a coin. I really don't care either way, honestly. So I'm gonna go with DDP.
Okay.
Superfly.
I don't consider DDP TV champion. I see him more as a world heavyweight championship. So I gotta go with Lex Luger, the total package. Because even though they both held the world title, I consider Lex Luger to be a TV champion.
All right, we got 2 for Lex, 1 for DDP. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brox.
And I think I'm gonna put an end to it because of the reign that Lex had before NWO. You know what I'm saying? Good point from JD there. The fact that he came in, done that, they done the NWO run and then watered out, and then he jumped back on the TV television title thing. And DDP for me, I love DDP. He and I share a common wrestling story. He started at 36. I started at 39. So, and we actually got to have a conversation about that one time. It was so I love DDP, but I don't see him. When I close my eyes and go the TV title, he doesn't pop up. He just doesn't. Lex does because I always felt like I don't want to say they done Lex wrong, but for what they were looking for back then, he had the total look to be world top, to be world champion. You know what I'm saying? Like they would have booked it better. I feel like it would have been a little bit better of a show. So, and they kept putting the TV title on him. So for me, and when I see this, it's Lex.
I can see that. JD.
Well, I'm honestly shocked because my pick would be Diamond Dallas Page, and that's only because I think he's one of those Triple Crown champions. It was at Stepping Stone. TDP took that TV title and parlayed it into a United States title run and parlayed it into a World Heavyweight title run. So that's why I have to pick Diamond Dallas Page, because I think that TV title did more for Page than it did for Luger. I think Luger, again, even though Luger was also a United States champion and he was very briefly WCW World Heavyweight champion, he really never got beyond the TV title and the tag team title scene, in my opinion. Luger never really made that next step. So my pick, even though it doesn't matter now because we're outvoted, but it would be for DDP.
DDP. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about Lex, and I kind of agree. There was something about him that I just never, I understood why they had him in the world title picture.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I just never, he was never somebody I gravitated toward.
Because he doesn't have any mic skills.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. I was like, he has no mic skills. Like, he took the words right out of my mouth.
No. If his mic skills were a stat, it would be -1. Okay, that's where his mic skills stats are. He's never. Listen, I decided that Lex Luger was one of the best wrestlers, but one of the worst people on the mic when he was having an interview with Mean Gene, lost his words, couldn't figure out what he was supposed to say, and looked to Mean Gene with this deer in the headlights look, and Mean Gene saved his ass. So that's why, he has no mic skills whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, his claim to fame is Yokozuna jumping for him.
And also he has torture rack.
Yeah, and the torture rack. WCW did very good at putting that torture rack over.
I didn't like that move though. I've never liked that move. I don't know why. And I know we're not talking about Lex here. I don't know. On to the next match. And again, this is going to be the last match for a moment. We're going to take a pause after this match. I think this one's pretty much going to be a squash match for the most part. I remember we got Ron Bass, the outlaw Ron Bass versus stunning Steve Austin. He had not yet reached Stone Cold status yet. He was still just a little stunning. So, yeah, I mean, I personally, I think it's going to be a sweep, but we'll see how it goes. Who did we end off with last time?
I think it's my turn to go first.
Yes, sir. It is your turn to go
Go
first.
So, listen, I don't know who the hell Ron Bass is. So my pick is for stunning Steve Austin. And I have that's it. That the fact that I don't know who Bass is and I know who stunning Steve Austin is. So that's my pick.
If I'm not mistaken, it was WrestleMania 4 that he took on Brutus Beefcake. He was a cowboy type guy. He wasn't there very long in the WWE.
I believe you.
Yeah. Right. That's how memorable he was, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Brox.
I don't give a shit who Ron Bass is. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Before he was Stone Cold, he was stunning Steve Austin. You remember me telling you guys earlier that there's a guy on this list that JD's was Sting? I have one too. It is stunning Steve Austin. I don't give a rat's rear end who he was up against tonight in this first round. Anyways, it was going to be Stone Cold. He was stunning Steve Austin. If you think about it, what was Stone Cold's finisher?
The stunt.
And he's always been Stone Cold then because he was stunning then too. By God, that's what I'm talking about. It's Stone Cold all day long.
That's great. That is absolutely great. All righty. So we got 2 for Stone Cold. Superfly, who you got?
Stunning Steve Austin, because even though I know Ron Bass Jr., his daddy wasn't as famous as him.
Really? Okay, that's cool. Did not know that. There's a little fact for everybody. All righty. So I'm just going to go ahead and echo the sentiment. I don't need to go into a bunch. Like I said, I remember that match with Brutus Beefcake, and that's about all I remember of Ron Bass. So
that's all I remember of him too.
Stunning Steve it is. Uncle Slam, who you got?
Man, like it's not even a contest. Like I said, stunning Steve.
Oh, you're
like
going with Ron Bass? Okay.
If I was Slam, I would have said it, start out no matter what, just to throw everybody off. That's what
you know what? Next time, that's what I'm going to do. Next time, it looks like it's going to be a slam dunk, man. I'm just going to buck the trend and be like, fuck it.
Exactly. If
I was going to go down with the shit.
Yeah, right out of it. I've been like, y'all don't know who Ron Bass is, man? Come on, bro. Like, come on. You know, like
see how long I can bullshit till y'all figure it out that I don't have a clue who he is. You're like, you don't know Ron Bass? You remember that match he had? Oh my God.
Yeah, man,
the outlaw.
Yeah.
He was literally the outlaw, Ron Bass.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But he's more famous than his actual son, who wrestled back in 2024 for Paulcade 5, who I got to watch live.
There you go.
Well,
alrighty,
I might
guys.
change my vote then, since Ron Bass created that guy. You know, I mean, you know, like, come on, damn.
All right.
I'm sorry.
You are not right, Brock. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are going to take a break for about 10-15 minutes, and we will be back to finish off the last 3 rounds. Or wait a minute, 4 rounds, but it should go a lot quicker. We got a lot less. We've done analyze these guys, so now we can just jump in and start kicking them out of the tournament and everything.
J-Mac, I sent you the brackets, the updated brackets in the Facebook for the next round. If you want to change the background,
sounds good. I will do that during the break, guys. We will see y'all here in just a minute, and just for a slight second, we are going to ring that damn bell.